Today, let me tell you, there was a certain somebody who stood tall amongst the pack, who cleared everybody, who faced the biggest man in Pittsburgh potentially, and he himself is the shortest man in Pittsburgh. He describes himself as a little angry man, and while he plays like a little angry man, and it's not Jaylen Warren, it is Beanie Bishop. I have come to the point currently, we are 6 days into practice now, where I am 100% in on Beanie Bishop, where he has shown me everything he needs to show me that this guy is going to make the roster, but is also going to be the guy moving forward for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is their diamond in the rough this summer. I get it. It's only been a week and maybe a day or two, but Beanie's good, man. Beanie's good. He's made a couple of plays, and what impressed me the most today, hands down, he lines up against George Pickens, the wide receivers and the corners. They're going one-on-one in the end zone, and it is, a matchup that's not fair. But you got Grady Brown yelling every time George stepped up. Every time George stepped up, Grady Brown's yelling in the back, 30, get 30 in there. I want 30 on George. I want 30 on George, which tells you a lot. And then Beanie, not once, but twice held his ground and won a matchup one-on-one against George Pickens. And it is not fair because George did not run all over the field and Beanie kept up with them and was able to bat a ball away. George ran I'm a foot and a half taller than you, and I could jump out of the building, so I will just run to the corner of the end zone, and Justin will throw it up in the air, and I will jump over you, and I will catch the football. Not once, but twice, Beanie was able to break up those passes, and that is awesome to see. I'm all in on Beanie Bishop. He is my dude moving forward. I think he's the guy that the Steelers want to become their starting corner or starting slot corner. Obviously, you're not going to start Beanie Bishop until you are totally sold that he is your safest bet at the position. But right now, he looks good, man. And I think I'm all in on the Beanie Bishop train. He's not my guy this summer. My guy is a fullback, and we'll get to him in a minute. But Beanie's pretty close, dude. And he has, for a guy who was not impressive in OTAs, who was not impressive in minicamp, he has certainly won me over. And I think at this point, it's almost very safe to say that he has earned himself a roster spot. He might be a lock at this point because his only competition is Grayland Arnold, and he's taken second, third team reps exclusively with Beanie taking the first team and going against George Pickens. I mean, at one point, Grayland was twice, actually. Grayland was lined up against George twice. He was taken out so that Beanie could go up against him. Steelers seem to know what they got in this guy, and they're excited about it. Beanie was your dude. He was a guy that you were high on. Your thoughts? I'm excited for you to see him out here.
Yeah, you mentioned that he's not the guy that, or he's the guy that they wanted. He's the guy that they needed to step up coming into camp.
Yes.
You look at their other options. I mean, Josiah Scott just got cut a couple days ago. Coming into camp, both of us were saying that that's probably the leader in the clubhouse, and that's not a great thing. And that's if you don't want to move things around with Deshaun Elliott and DeMonte KZ on the back end, then it was probably Josiah Scott because of what Beanie Bishop looked like. But the fact that Bishop came in, especially once the pads came on and started having his better days, then that is a massive thing for the Steelers. And the good thing is while if Beanie Bishop's ready for the start of the season, I understand Tomlin doesn't like going to rookies early. He doesn't have to play that full season as the only guy there. You do have Cam Sutton coming back at some point, and once Sutton comes back, if Bishop seems to need a break, that hit that rookie wall, you have another option that is baked in. So I like the fact that Beanie Bishop's stepping up. Like you mentioned, I'm ecstatic. You might have to peel me away from the corners because I'm going to be watching Beanie Bishop all day, but I'm excited that he is stepping up, and he is what the Steelers needed to step up and who the Steelers needed to step up early in camp.
Yeah, I agree. And it works out perfectly because just like you said, if he hits a rookie wall, Cam Sutton comes back. But bare minimum, I mean, people will talk about, is Beanie going to be the reason that Cam gets cut? You're not paying Cam anything. You're paying Cam $500,000 this season. He is pretty much a volunteer for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you're not going to get rid of him. So you have two quality options in the slot. Cam could play the outside as well. That's as good as it gets for the Steelers right now. They look at this and say they're in prime position. If nobody stepped up between Grayland and Beanie and Josiah Scott, they'd be in a tougher spot because they'd be looking for a replacement. They don't got to go get a Patrick Peterson or a Stephon Gilmore, because right now Cam Sutton's going to come back and be their backup all over the place because Beanie could step in the slot when need be. That's huge. Like what Beanie has provided for this defense and the versatility that they now have and the options that they will have in the back half of the season, it's going to do so much more than just, hey, he looks good against George Pickens, and that should get you excited. The Steelers are in a really good spot with this kid. I'm super excited for him. The other standouts on the day, we'll get into my favorite last here, but Van Jefferson looked good. He has been looking good. I mean, he's catching 300 passes a day off the jugs machines. That's wild to me. That is a wild number, but he's doing it. He had a phenomenal move. Put Anthony Averett on skates and one-on-ones, like to the point where I very rarely have reactions on the sideline. Like I very rarely am like, oh, that one got, like, it was a verbal from everybody standing on that sideline. Oh, like it was good. Averett hit the ground. It was a nice move by Van Jefferson. Aaron Shapklin put Miles Killebrew about 8 yards into the turf today and ran him right over. And it was a moment where I went, you know what? This kid is impressing, and I think it's time that we start talking about how this kid is impressing, because he has at least one good run every single day. He held his ground and backs on backers against some big names like Landon Roberts. He's a dude who may be a sleeper, but if Cordero Patterson isn't going to play until the start of the season, Shaplin's got all day long and all training camp long to prove his worth to the Pittsburgh Steelers. If he could look good on special teams, and if they could trust a name like Jaylen Warren and Calvin Austin back there, I mean, Cordero's costing you money, and you could use some money whenever you're trying to make moves later in the offseason. I could see that as a name where, yeah, why not keep the guy out of Harvard who seems very smart, could block, and could run a little bit, has a bunch of speed. Him and Jonathan Ward have almost exclusively taken second team reps. LaMichael P. Ryan's mixed in there from time to time, but he has his days and then he has his off days. Shaplin's a name that I'm excited to start watching. I don't think he's on the roster right now. I think he's on the outside looking in, and probably 2 or 3 spots on the outside looking in, but he is certainly a name that I'm keeping my eye on moving forward.